All right, you guys, I'm about to do another walkthrough style where I talk through the whole thing. We're gonna give my man a taper, nice little edge up, do his beard, put him on point, and let's get to it. I'm gonna begin by just combing this thing out. Be a little careful in the crown. Used to do the low skin fade or like the mid skin fade, but I've convinced him to go to a taper for this video, so y'all should thank him. All right, y'all, I'm gonna begin with the Evo. I'm gonna put him a nice, fairly high taper. I'm gonna start at that corner here. And we're gonna get rid of all that. These things cut super close with this blade, so it's actually really nice. I like to kind of begin by like shaping out the ears too, just to kind of get all this area addressed. Because now all I got to do is go in there and blend this out. And we're going to take his top down a little bit too. The back, I'm just going to keep on keeping on here, and you guys will see how tight these trimmers hit. Right down the back here like that. Almost as close as a razor. You guys see how sharp that line is. We'll do the same thing on this side. Like again, right from the top of the corner here. And I'll make this line right across to the top of his ears. And we'll get rid of all this. We're gonna come back in with the electric shaver. So I'm gonna get rid of the area that I would line up. For some people, I would leave this, but I kind of like the way this looks totally blown out with him. And we'll continue this line right to the back. Around the ears, you never want to touch somebody like this. You could cut them so easy, especially a kid. So I like to actually put the trimmer right side up like that and just get it in the upward direction. All right, let's connect this in the back. And I kind of like to address this line right now because it's going to give me an idea of where I'm going to blend in between. All right, so that's exactly what I want it to look like in the back. I'm not trying to make it perfectly even or anything yet. Don't really care about that. Now I'm gonna create my line. I'm gonna put in like a rainbow guideline. And what this is gonna do is this is gonna leave me these two areas are gonna stay a little bit darker, and this blowout can go a little bit higher. So that's kind of why I like to do that on most people when I can. I know there's gonna be someone in the comments, they're like, oh, I like when you come down straight or whatever. I mean, that's just all personal preference. I could have put this line straight across, but I sort of I like the way this looks in the end. So I just want to make sure that it's fairly even. The rainbow's fairly even. It looks pretty good. And as you can see, I mean, these things cut down to damn near nothing. There's hardly anything left. But I'll follow it up with the wireless Prodigies. What's dope about these is you could actually put them on a wireless charger. For your cell phone, you could just take the same one for your cell phone, and you could throw this up there, and you could take your cell phone off, and you could have this all charged up. Once I get close to that line, I'm going to begin kind of releasing pressure and flicking away. You can also make a couple moves down with the grain. Over here, I want to enhance this line, so I don't really mind. I can go all the way up against it. And that's just a little less work for the razor as I come back. So right here, I'm going to just use this part of the blade. Just sort of flick it out and away. As long as I'm down the skin at the very bottom, that's what's going to make it pop. That's what's going to make it show. And on this side, same thing. Boom. Okay, we got them all lined up. That's good. I might as well just blend his beard in because it's bothering me. So for no reason other than it's bothering me to look at that. I'm gonna begin with this in the open position. I'm gonna run this over and see what effect that has. Begin closing it. I'm gonna stay a little bit higher than I was, a little bit higher than I was, all the way closed. And it's nice with these clicks. I kind of can feel exactly where I'm gonna go. I'll grab the half guard and I wanna soften this up. Got it all the way open. I'm gonna just repeat the same process. Close it a little bit, close it a little bit. All right, that's cool. And I'm gonna obviously go back and line that up, so I'm not really too worried about that just yet. Come to this side, repeat the same steps with the open position. I'm gonna go down to about right here, and I'm gonna just knock all that hair down. And I'm gonna begin closing it, staying a little bit higher, a little bit higher, a little bit higher, all the way to the very top. Bam. Now that's pretty good. I really probably don't need the half as much as I did on the other side, but just for evening it up sake, I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. All right, so I want these waves to start showing, but it's a little too long for them to show. So now I'm gonna grab the 1 1/2, and I'm gonna just put my clipper in the closed position, and we're gonna begin working the top. I wanna go with the grain, so I'll sort of lead it with the comb a little bit here, and go with the grain. I'm not pushing super hard. I'll see if this is gonna get it short enough. It might not. It's all right, I can always go back with my 1. But especially in the crown, I try not to push too hard because some people get a little bit lighter there, and if you push down too hard, you might wind up having the wave get cut. I don't want that to happen. I'm being careful not to tip the clipper up like this because that'll take more hair. I'm just trying to kind of lay it back like a sled and just sort of run it across. The crown can be really tricky. The crown can be really tricky, so we want to like kind of comb it and see which way that grain grows. So like here, it's obviously growing down. And you got to be real careful here. So I can kind of see it's combing, it's moving up. And little by little, you'll work your way through it. Now, some people have like a double crown. You want to watch out for that. Because if you got the double crown, then you're going to have to do twice as much when you're moving in this area. But now, right where them two hairs meet, the upward growth and the downward growth, I'm going to try not to run it directly across the whole thing. But it ain't too bad. All right, I'm going to switch to a brush. Because you got a lot of little hairs that are not cut on the top. So just by kind of brushing them, you get those to kind of stick up. All right, now I'm gonna switch over to a number 1. Okay, so I got the number 1. I'm gonna come down with the grain around the sides. I have it actually in the open position. And I just close it a little bit towards the bottom. So I want this to be open and come down with the grain right in the direction that it grows. Definitely want to hit it with the 1. Almost close all the way right in the very front. That's a little bit of a front fade. Because if you leave the front all bushy like this, when you come in to do your edge up, it's going to suck. It's going to be twice as difficult because when there's all them little long hairs, it kind of takes away from your edge a little bit. So I like to fade the front down a little bit extra than the rest of the front. Mr. Morgan, how are you, buddy? All right. Okay, so now I'm really not pushing hard. I just want to kind of glide this across the top. And that's why I wasn't too concerned with hitting every hair. I just want to get this wave to lay down the best that I can. Now I'm liking how that's laying on the top. So I'm just gonna kind of finish off these sides, going with the grain. And as I get towards the bottom, I'll begin clicking this down as long as I'm below the parietal ridge. So below the parietal ridge, you can feel free to click it down, and you're not gonna probably have any issues. Right in there, I can see we got a little dark spot there. I don't like that. Make sure I'm coming with the grain, but that was way better already. And towards the very bottom, I'm not too concerned about that because we're gonna knock that out real easy when I begin the blend part. All right, guys, it's time to start fading this thing out. So there's a couple ways I can attack this, but I'm gonna do this with the open blade on my Alpha. Got the open blade here. And I'm just lightly lifting up.
All right, so actually the camera turned off for a minute and I missed that side. So let me just recap on what we just did. We did the 5-0, okay? And we put in that line. We connected it from about the top of the C cup to the back of the ear. That's the 5-0 line. With that, I put in my open taper line. And notice how I'm sort of doing this on an angle. It's almost like a little round. So you're not gonna just put a straight line. Otherwise you're gonna wind up turning this into a skin fade. We don't wanna do that. Once I have the open taper, all I'm gonna do is close the taper one click, stay a little bit lower, close the taper one click at a time, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower, until this bottom part is wiped out. Then I can put my half guard on, open it, repeat the process. I come up about the width of a finger, and one click lower, one click lower, one click lower. You're gonna watch as these lines disappear, and we did the one with the grain, so we're really only gonna have to worry about that. One open, one closed, and it's possible you might have to do the 1 1/2, but that's actually what I'm doing. Let's blow up that spot, because it doesn't really matter what you're doing this on. It doesn't matter if you're doing this on a skin fade, taper, back of the neck. Watch, let me show you. Here's your trimmer line. I'll put a T for it. It's a 5-0 line. As soon as I hit this open taper, I'm gonna make this really big so you can see it. And we'll put OT for open taper. As soon as I hit that, I come up there and I create that second guideline. Then we just click it one click and we're only gonna come up to here. We're gonna run all this over. Little by little, your trimmer line is gonna start to disappear. One more click, bam, and we're only coming up to here. We're using the crisscross method, we're keeping it flat, we're keeping it on the head until we work our way down to the final click, and we're only really running over where that trimmer line was. Trust me, this works whether you're doing a mohawk fade, high fade, low fade, taper. It's foolproof, and back to the video.
Now I got the weight there. Everybody can see that? What's up, buddy? You see that weight there? So I'm gonna go with the 1. I do feel like it's got a little bit more weight on this side. Like he's just got a little higher density on this side. So I'm gonna come with the 1 with the grain. I got it all the way closed. I'm pushing kind of hard because I wanna eliminate any type of weight that I'm seeing there. So, but yeah, going back to the contact thing, a lot of newer barbers kind of bounce it off the head too much. They leave the head too much. They think that when I say to use the corner, it's very important that you stay anchored as you're working. So you're working this thing like a sled, like a C motion, and that's really gonna help you to start knocking out these blends and getting them the way that you want, especially when you try to do this move here with the trimmer. This is where you could make an easy big mistake, and you really don't need to be making big mistakes when you're like this close to finishing. It would really suck to set you back a little bit. So on this side, I'm just gonna kind of touch the edge just tiny bit here. I don't know why I do this. It's like I just kind of like to start to define my parameters here a little bit. And let's finish up the blend in the back. So in the back, we're gonna follow the same steps. Begin with it open, set myself about a 1 inch or a finger width guideline, and I'm going to work in the same kind of direction as the guideline I set in. So I sort of set in that rainbow kind of guideline. So I wanna maintain the width of that and kind of maintain the shape of that in what I'm doing. So in essence, my rainbow should sort of raise and be pretty well proportionate to how my previous guide was. And you'll notice that hairs kind of jut out sideways here, and this can definitely cause you to not get them. You got to go against the grain, so you see how I got to almost hold it completely different over here just to get it to look the same as on this side. On this side. So begin clicking it. And we're gonna go up pretty close to the top of that line. Click it again. I'm gonna stay just a little bit lower again on this side, moving the clipper a little different, just using the corner. And we're seeing that line starting to dissipate pretty good. I got another click here. Still, I have another adjustment to go, and it's already almost wiped out that line, and I got it all the way down now. And hopefully that line will come right out with this step. Usually it does. The alpha cut's really close, so I don't really have any trouble usually that I don't have to go back to the trimmer quite as often as I might with something else. So anyways, next step, we're gonna do the same thing with the one. We're skipping the half guard. We'll go back in and we'll detail with the half guard, but again, now is when you can kind of almost break away from your the rainbow portion. Not quite as important now because we're gonna be meeting that other length. I have this in the open position. I'll begin closing it in a second. And here, we're gonna come down with the grain in the back. I wanna make sure I do the same thing in the back that I did to the sides. Begin closing this, closing it, coming down with the grain closed, all the way closed. So in the back, his hair's a little thicker. That's why there's this weight line here. And that's sort of what I'm trying to eliminate. And we'll get to that. But let's finish out this step here. So I'll begin by clicking it down one from the open one. Click it down again. This will go a lot faster now. Click it down all the way. And as you can see, there's gonna be a good amount of weight. I'm definitely gonna need the half guard. That's why it's awesome that I got the half guard. And we'll knock that section out before I deal with that top line. So again, beginning with it open, going against the grain to the best that I can. Find those grain patterns, pushing fairly hard, and I'll begin clicking it little by little. And I wanna hear it cut something, man. I wanna hear it eat, feel it cut a little bit. Sometimes when I'm filming too, like I'm not standing in the most like easy to view spot. Like I'm kind of off to his right side and I can't really see that left side so good. My best view is really of this right side in the middle. So, you know, I would stand directly, you know, in the way if I wanted to stand where I would normally, you know, try to stand. All right, so that part of the blend is looking pretty blurry. I like what I'm seeing. I could probably just open this up and just kind of hit this again, just kind of lightly. See what that do. How about them bills, Kev? How about them bills, Kev? What you got to say about that? John Shannon dropping dimes. All right, I got the 1 1/2 close. I'm gonna run this over against the grain first, see if I can eliminate that weight. And then the cool thing is I've just trapped it. So I've sort of trapped the blend in between that one open and that 1 1/2 closed, right? That's pretty much eliminated most of it, but there is still a tiny bit of weight that I can see, then I definitely want to go back with the one open. And now it's called fade trap. I call it fade trapping, but I went in that area and slightly above it with the 1 1/2 close, which means that I can safely travel all the way up here with this open without creating any issues. Now I can begin clicking it, and I'm just using my eyes to guide me a little bit. All right, so I really like my blend. I'm happy with it. So now let's talk about this part of the blowout, because this is something a lot of people don't talk about. Like, we have our nice blend, and we got our nice blend, but we got a lot of weight in here. And now would be a good time to just kind of go in and try to reduce some of this weight. So I got the one open, and I'm gonna close it. I just wanna minimize it a little bit. Like, I'm not trying to take away from the fact that this is a blowout. I'm not trying to turn this into a low fade or anything like that. I just want this to look good around his ears and not get bushy once it starts to grow out. Okay, so again on this side, you guys can see that like there's a little dark spot here. Definitely don't want to leave that. So I'm gonna come in with the one open. Very light touch, just using the corners. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. No, man, I get it. Thank you, bro, I appreciate that. But now you see that looks a lot better right there. That looks so much smoother, cleaner, and that's kind of what I want to see. And his grain kind of shoots forward a little bit harder. I'm gonna actually go to a half open here. See if I can knock that down just a little bit. Now to me that looks a world of better, and I can put in my my line. I can put in my line the way I want to put it in. So like before it was sort of just a rough draft, but that's kind of like where I want my line to be. Like my final trip through there will be with a razor, but you know I want to make my final like trip through there with this. Okay, so also that area right above the like the temporal area, like right here, definitely a little bit darker. Definitely need to knock that out a little bit. What's up, John?
What's up, brother?
How are you, man? So I'm just gonna hit it in there with the corners, making sure I'm going against the grain, just kind of tapping that in. And this blend is starting to come together. So let's go to the edge up and let's talk about the edge up, because this is something that I don't think I've really concentrated that much on the edge ups over the years on my channel. I've kind of taken them for granted. So with his edge is actually really good. It's an easier one to do, but some people, boy, some people. But I actually like to use like a pencil grip here. And I'm just gonna begin in the middle, and I'm gonna work my way just across each side a little by little. This is sort of like, I think of this as like a rough draft kind of. I'll get back out here towards these corners and do my best to make these corners look sharp. I'm gonna show you guys how long this really takes me too to get the edge just right, because it can take you a while sometimes to get it perfect, but it's just a couple trips over and over again to make sure that, you know, everything you're doing, you're just making really small changes. And again, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm trying to use my mirrors the best that I can. That gives me like, figure my mirror's about 3-4 feet away. So there and back, we're like 8 feet. A little bit perspective. And I kind of like the way that's looking. And again, we're gonna come back with the razor, so it doesn't have to be perfect with the trimmer. Just, you wanna get it as close as you can. You definitely wanna get rid of any of those little long hairs, which really are not a huge problem for me because of the fact that I did a little front fade. So I'm gonna tip you this way. And again, I used hairspray in the edge too. Remember, that's definitely gonna help when you go back to put your line in. Just makes the hair stay still when you cut it instead of pushing it. And it's definitely a little life hack. I love using that, and I really wouldn't want to do a edge up at all without hairspray. Like, after you do that a few times, it becomes something that you'll do all the time. So I like what it's looking like. I'm gonna try my best to get these corners sharp. Now this is one of the keys to the edge up here. I'm gonna tip them forward, and I'm gonna use it like while it's forward. I'm gonna go back and kind of clean up whatever I see that's not perfect, and I'm actually gonna like tip them up as well. So like I'm looking at it from like every angle that he could see, every angle that I could see. Like kind of tipping it up and down. Like whenever you tip an edge forward, it's always gonna look perfect. It's when you tip it up or back, a lot of times that's when it starts to look a little jacked up. All right. So next, I'm gonna hit him with the razor real quick. And then we're gonna use some enhancements just to make it look real good. So,
Oh yeah.
I'll put a little shaving cream on the back of my hand here so that I got it to reapply.
If you were like your hair's so short. Yeah. And that kind of yeah.
And I want to hit his neck up too. I like to get a nice clean towel. I'll just throw the towel here. And we're gonna get our taper comb back out. I'm gonna try to comb this down, and I got my blade like super jacked. That's a little further up than I want it. Probably, I would like to set it about right here. So that's like ideal for me. I don't really care if it's crooked or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I'll just hold it straight. So like before you put the enhancements in, I like to get it as perfect as I can because I too realize that these enhancements are only temporary, and I want to make sure that I got them a good cut underneath it. I think some people get a little carried away with enhancements because their skills are not really there yet, and they're trying to use enhancements to kind of cover up for that. And in that case, this blade was shot. It's a piece of junk. All blades nowadays are not made like they used to be. But the best one I got right now is these Dorco Primes. I mean, they're holding up all right, but I could tell that blade was dull because I tried to go across the section and it didn't do nothing to it. So get rid of a dull blade. It's only going to cause you to make a mistake. Go around his ear a little bit. On the back of his neck.
What's up, guys? Oh yeah, you got it. So all you gotta do is scan it, fold it out, and basically.
Now this is kind of why I did that rainbow guide, because when I come around this backside now, I'm going to really be able to make this perfect. If you see any long hairs sticking out, messing up your edge, just go back to your trimmer and cut those, because some of those are not going to be part of the actual edge. So now I'll come down holding this blade at around a 45-degree angle, just so I could scoop up any little hairs that might be sticking out over the edge, whatever I miss with the trimmer, and I'm good. So now that's like exactly how I want it to look. I like that. I'll flip it over to this side. Now notice I'm checking with my thumb, like also when I apply this, and I feel like he's got a little bump right here. Always need to check the area you're about to shave before you shave it. Just make sure that he doesn't have any bumps or abrasions before you draw the blade across the skin, because then it's only going to get worse. So now I'm going to come up from underneath, and I'm going to go against the grain so that I can dial that in just perfect.
Dude, I love that. right, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, no worries, buddy.
And a lot of times when you come in underneath, you're gonna see little hairs, they begin to stick out again. And that's when I go back to my trimmer again. Go back to my trimmer again, and I'll just eliminate those little hairs that were sticking out.
See you by 5:30. Here's your 5:30. All right, what's up, buddy?
I'm trying to get away any loose hairs.
Yeah, you should be big boy right now, all right? Ready? I'll just have to bend your head a little bit. It pumps up a little slower. Yeah, yeah. So what we doing today?
He likes the length up front, but it's all up in his eyes and starting baseball, so I'm usually a little trim. You go high and tight like me, I mean,
Good, good.
you still want a little length up top,
Let's
right?
finish around the ears.
Not too short.
I mean, I was going out to once.
Yeah, but it's gotta be trimmed a little bit for it to stay healthy, otherwise, it's gonna, one, be in your face, you're gonna miss a fly ball. Two, is
I think go around this ear is good.
trim a little bit.
So I'll finish cleaning this up now.
You want a real short on the side, like shorter than mine? You want like this on the side? Short like that?
Not that short, so like you're
Like mine? Something like that?
All right, let's get back to the edge in the front. I can work this corner. Kind of worked my way like halfway across.
Cash or Venmo?
My hands is kind of in the way. Let me show you this move here. Pull the skin and just kind of keep the blade almost still. And you can just kind of pull the skin right into the blade. That way you can get it perfect.
Work with that colic. I know you cut them once or twice too. Usually goes to sunny too, but I'm pretty sure you've been in your chair. You got that colic in your back, but.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So again,
Usual suspect there.
finishing this up. I'm gonna come up with the grain, against the grain in a second. I'm going with the grain right now.
That's it, right? So that's
Getting all that hair good. And I'm feeling for any little hairs I might have missed.
We'll get her.
And I'm really liking the way his edge is looking. I'm using my mirror. And now I'm gonna come up against it.
All right. Yeah, it depends on what you're. You know what I'm saying?
It's like Taco Tuesday might be in there. You can't mess up a Taco Tuesday for $2.
That's it.
This is Naples, so I mean, you gotta be forgiving it just about anywhere you go.
That's true.
In the restaurant, bar business, you know.
Yes, sir.
I'll kind of comb this out.
So we're just saying, yeah, is it? Yeah, they all are. Well, I mean, that place is doomed, man. I mean, you could, everything that's ever gone there is like.
That's
flopped,
good.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I want to just take this, lay it on one of the straight areas and hit this up. Much better than it was working before. So, and again, this will last a couple days. This is great for a special occasion. It'll fill in a lot of the little areas where his hair is kind of lighter, make it look a little better. You too, brother. Thank you. I think we got a gas. A little bit of work kind of cleaning them up again, so just try to keep it clean and please don't clog. I don't know why I'm wasting my time with this. So I had a feeling I was going to wind up using the floor gun. All right, that's why I'm not a big fan of these cordless compressors, man, because like when I'm in the middle of trying to do something and that happens, it's kind of frustrating. But with this one's got the power to kind of get all that stuff through it. I mean, look at the difference. What a waste of time that was. This is what I want. I want it to be dark and good. Looking nice. Sorry, right here. Straighten that out. All right, I got a little sloppy there. I need to take the razor and kind of just pull that color in while it's still nice and wet. And the rest of the areas that I did it in, it actually looks pretty good. So I'm not too concerned about moving it around. But if you do this soon enough before it sets in, you'll be able to move the color slightly, and you'll be able to enhance the line a little bit. So I'll just kind of go up and against the grain a little bit. That's nice. That's real nice. All right, so now I'm just darken up the areas above my blend. Any little spots I see, I just want to put this everywhere. All right, sounds like I got rid of everything that was in the gun, which is good.
Which one? Oh, fridge, okay.
Okay, in the back now, I want to address this real quick. I see that it comes in nice on that side, but on this other side, it doesn't. So I want to just kind of bring this in a tiny bit now that I'm trying to get this perfect. And I can use my spray back here. That looks better, that looks more even. I like that. Now I can go back through with my color and just make sure that those lines are on point. I don't really need a whole lot this time. Make sure that this is clean while I touch it to his skin. And we'll just give him a little bit. On this side, same thing. Now this would be a good time to get your razor out again and just make sure that it's even on both sides if you need to. I feel like I put the spray in just right, it's probably okay. But I want to just kind of push it a little bit, push it a little bit. Good. All right. So we're almost done. I'm gonna do his beard, but I'll shut it off for that. I'll bring it back for the final spin. But the last thing I wanted to show you guys was a quick demonstration of using fibers. So to do that, I would actually like his hair to be dry from all that color I put in. So I'm just gonna go through and kind of comb it. It was mixed with alcohol, which makes it dry really quick. So there's not gonna be like a whole lot of wetness to it, but I just wanna make sure that it's kind of dry before I put these in. So after that, I'm gonna reapply my hairspray. I want this to be a little wet. And I'm going to use my same thing that I just used. Some people like to just spray this right in. I don't like to do that because I feel like that just creates extra work. But from like back here, I'll fill this in really nice. And I like to just do it like this. You don't want to like overdo it either. We're gonna have to go back with the trimmer now that we've decided to use the fibers. But this is like literally the amount of artwork that's involved in doing some of these cuts, which kind of makes it a lot of fun to do, like to kind of be able to achieve the perfection that we always try to seek and bring the game forward. I think it's dope. I mean, there's a lot of barbers who hate enhancements or they're like enhancement haters or whatever. Like, I'm not one of them. I think it's really cool. And it's really the only way to get that edge to just absolutely pop like that. I mean, that just looks so good to me. And we could even do it in the back a little bit so that when I get my final spin and I'll take my pictures, it'll really sort of stand out. If you see any light spots, darken them up. I like to kind of hold it a little further away in the back here. I don't want to like create too much darkness either. Like, so I kind of hold it a little bit away and I just see what that effect has. And you can kind of fill in where you need to. All right, so this is the part where people on Instagram always try to make you feel small or whatever because their edge looks so perfect, but they like to come back and they like to do these final taps here. And what I like to do is almost like push up and into it, so you're sort of like packing the fibers into that line a little bit. Not really doing any cutting here, you're just using a trimmer. You can use a razor, but I've found that it tends to clump. I might use a razor sometimes when I need to clean the forehead, but I try to use a trimmer, and if you're careful, you can kind of avoid having to go back to the razor. So once you got it perfect, we're gonna lock it down. Hit it with that. Wow. That thing's looking sharp. All right, so I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna do his beard. I'm not gonna bother you guys about that. You guys been with me for like 30 minutes, but check out the rest of the cut, and I'll show you the finished result with his beard. All right, all right, all right. Kevin, oh my God, your cut's so fresh. Oh my God, Kevin. That's all angles, y'all. Hope you liked the video. Hope you learned something. If you did, leave a comment, like, subscribe, whatever, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.